Every video I saw mentioning Wuthering Heights said that it was terrible, so I went in expecting a mess, but I actually kind of loved it. First, I'll talk about what I really liked about the movie. Then I'll talk about some choices that actually really didn't work for me, and just film adaptations in general because y'all really need to calm down. Seriously. First, I do want to mention that I did not read the book. I have not read the book. I didn't even watch the trailer. I've only watched a couple videos about it, which is how I know some information about how people are saying that the movie took too many liberties. Because I like going into movies a lot of the times not knowing anything because I feel like the movie just works better that way. So the first thing I really appreciated about the movie was how much time they really took and spent on Heathcliff's and Catherine's childhood. So I'm sure as you know, Heathcliff was taken in by Catherine's father, who is a single dad. He's pretty gruff and I think he has a gambling problem or something like that. So Heathcliff and Catherine are friends. They play around Wuthering Heights and Heathcliff also is kind of like works like a what would you call it? Like a farmhand? Well, it's not a farm, but yeah, he basically works on Wuthering Heights. Basically, I'm assuming to earn his keep. So they really take a lot of time to flesh out their friendship and their dynamic, and I really love that. The cinematography was also really well done, and there was some memorable, beautiful shots that really stick out in my mind. My most favorite shot was when they were at Catherine's father's funeral, where she has this black veil on and the wind's blowing and kind of blowing in her face. So there's this really moody vibe with the overcast, and they're on this cliff, that famous cliff they're always on, always filming on. And you have Heathcliff kind of behind her, trying to secretly console her, connect with her husband standing right there. I just love that shot and kind of also just that scene in general because it just has just really dark and moody and also beautiful. Another scene I really liked was there was a few where Isabella is pushing Catherine on a swing and the scene just looks so sweet and innocent and cute. But in that scene, as you know, Catherine was just being a conniving witch and just being mean to Isabella because she's jealous over her not being able to have Heathcliff and Isabella showing interest in him. So she is just jealous. I just love that contrast in that scene. I thought that was very well done. And lastly, another one that stuck out in my head was the scene where Catherine finds out Nellie has been sabotaging her relationship with Heathcliff. And there was like this the use of the color red in the background, and it showed Nellie sitting in that chair kind of innocently reading a book, but it just looks so sinister. Yeah, I just really love how they did that scene. Now, secondly, what I loved about the movie is that the director, she wasn't afraid to take risk or to experiment with different things. Like, it's like you can kind of tell with different scenes where it's almost like she was thinking, let me try this. Let's see if this works. And I really respect that because the movie really felt different in a lot of scenes from anything I really watched before. And I have never watched anything from this director, so I don't know if this is like her style, but it just felt really experimental and it mostly worked. So I love this scene with the dollhouse where there's like it's Isabella's dollhouse and I don't know if I forgot if it's when after right after she gave Catherine that creepy doll made of her own hair, made of Catherine's hair. But the how they show the dollhouse within that was so cool. I was like, "That's cool." Like Russian are they called Russian dolls? Like, there's like you open it as a smaller doll, then another smaller doll. Yeah, it just reminded me of that. Also, the visual innuendos, like, I don't know if I just have, like, a dirty mind or something, but it can't just be me. You noticed it too. Like, the scene with the egg, with Heathcliff putting his hands in the egg or his fingers in the egg. And then the part with the pig, tell me if it was just me. Did you notice? Or was it just me? Tell me. Also, I do like how Edgar Linton's house was beautifully creepy. The fireplace with the hands was so weird. I don't know if it was supposed to mean something, but I did like it. I thought it was really creepy, but also kind of cool. Catherine's room, where the wall is supposed to mimic or be like some type of representation of her skin. So weird. So weird. Third, it was just a well done movie, period. Like, objectively well done. I just feel like you cannot deny that this was a well done movie. How the story played out, how everything develops. They really took the time to flesh out the characters. The foreshadowing was top tier. Like, I am a stickler for foreshadowing. So a lot of times in movies with foreshadowing, the movie will bash over the head and like try to let you know, hey, this is going to come up later. Hey, you need to pay attention to this. Or they'll do that camera zoom in on an object to let you know it's important. Like, for example, the movie Jaws. Sorry if that's your favorite movie. I'm not gonna spoil it and tell you what the object was that they were foreshadowing, but it was so obvious. They just did it so many times with the camera on this object so many times. I'm just like, okay, I get it. You can stop bashing me over the head with this. And of course I was right. It played a major role in the end of the movie. But anyways, I like the foreshadowing with the eggs. That was so fun. Catherine, was it Catherine? Yeah, Catherine put eggs in his bed, so when he sat in his bed, like, under his blanket, so when he sat in his bed, he crushed the eggs, and the yolk got all over his bed. She was married to Edgar, because we all know, he had run off, she had no idea where he went, he was gone for, like, 5 years. So one day, randomly, she sits on her bed, and there's eggs. Like, you just hear this, cracking noise, and she uncovers it, and it's the egg yolk. So, you already know it's him that came back. Like, you don't need all this foreshadowing. All you needed was that one scene, that one moment to tell you, and I thought it was so well done, as well as the scene where, Catherine's being like a peeping Tom, and, Heathcliff comes, he covers her eyes and covers her mouth. And then when she's later married with her husband and they're sharing an intimate moment and she tried to get him to do the same thing, you're like, "Oh, dang, okay." So they don't have to seduce you much. You know that you recognize it. So I really love like the foreshadowing, the callbacks in this movie. It was really well done. Also, Heathcliff's glow up. Heathcliff's I cannot say the man's name. I cannot talk. Heathcliff. 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 Also with Heathcliff's glow up. What is the opposite of a jump scare? Because that's literally how I felt like when he showed back up. I literally almost forgot what he actually looked like because they had him so scruffy with the long hair and the beard. He just looked just so disheveled. Also, the movie, I literally forgot what he actually looked like. So when he came back and he just looked completely different. I literally had stopped myself from, like, screaming in the middle of that movie theater, okay? I literally just wanted to be, like, kicking, screaming in my seat, okay? Like, I was shook. That was so good. Like, come on. Oscar-worthy reveal. Seriously. Also, the end. I mean, I have mixed feelings about the end, but I say generally I did like it. How emotional it was. I would say it was mostly the music in the background, I'm not gonna lie, but I was literally about to be crying in that theater. I'm like, "You're not about to be having me crying in this theater, okay?" So, the ending, Heathcliff did really sell it, but it's just overall, it was well done with the music and the emotion and how unexpected it was, like, how fast it seemed to happen. Like, you were sitting there, and then how the movie just ended, like, right there, and you're sitting there like, And I do think all the characters did really well. I especially love Isabella and how she kinda had this sweet and innocent, yet kinda a little creepy, weird vibe about her. And then when she kinda makes that transition into being a little bit, sassy, it makes sense because she just kinda had this vibe about her, like, she seems really sweet and innocent, but there's something about her. I don't know what it is, but something about her that's still off. So yeah, I did really like her character and how the actress who played her, she did really well. What did not work for me, number 1, absolutely number 1, the costume design after she got married. Now, I am not a fashion historian, I'm not gonna catch things in movies, be like, that's not accurate." I know people do that, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, shut up." But to me, it's just like, it looks good enough for the time, like, I believe it. But if you're making decisions, like, I know this movie was, like, kind of experimental. Like I said, I do like that she took, some liberties with that and kinda experimented, but that was a little too much to where it took me out of the movie a bit. Like, that iridescent dress she wore, like, that first night she was with her husband, was like, "No, what are you doing? You look crazy." Did they have iridescent material in the 1800s or whatever the time frame era is? I doubt it. So, yeah, the costume design was just getting weird, like, with the 90s, 2000s sparkle things on her face, rhinestones. Why? Why? Hated it. Hated it. They went too far with just getting off track with the costume design, and I get the complaints about that one. Yeah, if it's gonna take me out of the movie, it's you didn't do a good job. Oh, I said the costume design was the worst, or number 1, like, the worst. Actually, it's the scene with Isabella acting like a dog after she marries Heathcliff. I don't know who I needs to report them to, but you're gonna report it. That scene was ridiculous. Why? No. What were you trying to do? Like, what exactly were you trying to do? If they would've cut that scene out, honestly, I would be like, accepted everything else that I complained about. That thing just took it over the edge, and maybe complain about everything else. That scene did not have any purpose, it didn't serve any purpose. I don't see what the point of it was just really stupid, and it felt kinda cartoonish and just goofy. Also, the end, I see where they were going, but no. The scene where the leashes were on the wall and they were on her, and then they show all this blood pouring out of her, and excessive heat, just excessive, and it felt like some type of weird art piece or, I don't know, what do you call it, like, arts, but it's not like a painting, it's kinda like performative? I don't know. That's kinda what it felt like, but I thought that was very insensitive and very weird, to take that moment and kinda make it, like, artsy in a way. It's like this creepy, gross, weird, insensitive moment. It was a bit too much. Now can we just talk about film adaptations in general? Like I said, I did not watch in too much of anything about this movie, even though my algorithm wants me to or knows that I want to, but I didn't want the movie spoiled for me. But what I did see of it, I saw that in the book, Margot Robbie was supposed to be younger. So there was, yeah, 3 things. So Margot Robbie was supposed to be younger, Heathcliff isn't white, and then the ending was changed. So about Margot Robbie being younger. Now, I get it. I was kinda like, whatever at first because people were saying that about her in playing Barbie, which I thought was so stupid. I'm like, "It's a doll." And ain't nobody in their 20s about to be having a baby, being a lawyer, being a vet, doing all this stuff. No, it makes she could be whatever age as long as she looks like Barbie to me. That's my personal opinion for a freaking doll. For this, though, I do not know how true it is that she was supposed to be younger, but it makes sense that she was because Jacob Elordie, it's like, I'm assuming in his 20s. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming he's in his 20s because he looks like he's in his 20s. Margot Robbie, no matter how beautiful she is, she cannot pull off playing someone in her 20s. She does not look like she's in her 20s at all. And I would have been fine with it, except that Catherine, especially in the beginning, like not the beginning, but when they first showed them as adults, she comes off as really immature, bratty, and overdramatic. And that is something that I would expect from someone in their early 20s. When I was watching it, I was like, this is not working. This is not working. Why would you play someone who's supposed to be in their 20s? There's so many young actresses out there who could have played that part. Like, mm, it didn't. So it took me, that also kind of took me out of the movie a bit because, yeah, they should have got someone in their 20s to play that. And there's like a few actresses who I can think of who could have played that role and did well and kind of pulled it off better, mostly because of that brattiness of the character. Also, with Heathcliff supposed to be white, I don't know how true that is. I didn't read the book, so I can't really comment on that. So I don't know if they swapped races with her husband, but I did read that the actor who plays him, he's half Pakistani, half white. So I don't know if in the book her husband was originally white and Heathcliff was someone of another race and they just swapped it. I do not know, but I can't really comment on that one because I didn't read the book and I don't know how much it affects the story. Also, the end, I read the end was changed. So I really do not know what the end was in the book. So you can let me know how much did they change of the end. Do not tell me what the end is in the books. I do still want to read the book because I may be in the future be coming to make a totally different video. But as far as me feeling like people are being over dramatic about this movie adaptation, with when someone makes a movie adaptation of a book I've read or one of my favorite books, trust me, like I literally have a pitchfork in my closet waiting for somebody to make a mistake or do a bad film adaptation of a movie that I like. And I can be honest, the main reason I will watch a film adaptation of a book I read is to see how would they do, and to walk out of the movie saying the book was better. Because I always know the book was going to be better. So that's literally the main reason I watch it. Of course, I want to see the characters come to life, see how they make the story come to life. But mainly, I honestly am just watching it to be like, yeah, the book was better. So I totally get it how people are kind of up in arms with the changes that were made, but then I do not get it. Absolutely don't get it. The reason why I'm like, y'all are being overdramatic, ridiculous, doing too much is because this book has so many film adaptations. Literally over a dozen in like English, different countries have done it. There's film adaptations, TV film adaptations. There's so many film adaptations. If I read this book, I would be totally fine with someone like experimenting with it a little bit. My thing would be just make sure you keep the plot the same. Keep the story the same. Like keep the main theme, main points of the story the same. Like if you change that, then it's really no longer the book. So like say for instance, Romeo and Juliet. Like people have done that who knows how many times. Like there was one done in the 90s to where it was a modern version of Romeo and Juliet, but the dialogue was the same as how it was originally written. So it was modern when it was set, like from the time that it was set in the 90s, but um the dialogue was the same. So I think if you have a piece of work, a story, a book, the first time or the first couple times you make a film adaptation or a television adaptation, it needs to be on point. You need to stick as closely to the book as you can. And I know there has to be changes made for movies to make it work better for the movie, but stick as closely as you can. I feel like if this was like the first Wuthering Heights movie, absolutely stick as closely to the book as possible. But it's just like what number. I read there's like 30 Wuthering Heights adaptations. Like, what are you crying about? Seriously, stop. It's not that serious. It's really not. Unless they are veering from the story too much. Unless they're veering from the plot too much. Unless they're changing the plot or storyline too much or the theme too much. Then I get your point. If that's not the case, then stop crying about it. Like, stop. It's not that. Let people experiment with it because they do it with everything else and they should because then it's just more fun. Like, my one of my favorite books is Jane Eyre, and I read it 5 years ago. I just watched the 2006 version of it. It sticks to the book pretty closely from what I can remember, because I can remember the main plot points, and it sticks really closely to it. And I literally just also found the DVD at a thrift store of the one with Michael Fassbender. I heard that was a really good one. That was actually when the next one I want to watch, and I just randomly found it. But I'm like, it would be cool to see a modern version of Jane Eyre, like, for modern times. Like, we really have to get someone like a good director, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, somebody. We cannot have no Netflix version of freaking Jane Eyre. Please, God, no. But I want to see a modern version of Jane Eyre. I think that would be so fun because there's so many other adaptations that I can watch that stick closely to the freaking book. So it's totally fine. I want to see some experimentation with that. I want to see that main reveal, maybe switch it up a little bit and make it something a little different than what that main reveal is if you write the book. Um, but let me know what you think. Did you watch the movie? Did you read the book? Are you mad that there were changes made? Or are you like, there's like 100 million other adaptations I can watch that stick closely to the book that is totally fine if they experimented a bit. Yeah. And yeah, let me know if this Wuthering Heights with Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, if it keeps the actual spirit of Wuthering Heights or if it veers too much from it. Let me know. That's all I have for today. Bye.